Hey everybody, it's Vera Wild, and I'm not entirely sure what to file this one under. I suppose I'll put it under cross-dressing tips for beginners, because this is something that sort of went through my head based off of a communication I received from a cross-dresser and in that context. So I had someone reach out to me who said that they kind of got into a little bit of argument's probably harsh, a bit of a debate with their girlfriend, who kind of found it frustrating that this crossdresser, a male to female crossdresser, sort of was choosing to exemplify so much of what she felt were not the best traits of femininity. That the way in which she, however they identify, I didn't catch that, but however this dresser was choosing to dress was in a way which, if a cisgender woman was dressing, it would be considered, for lack of a more delicate way to put it, a step back for women. And I think that's an interesting, and that's a conversation I've had to some varying degrees with various people, some other dressers, some trans people, some cis women, about whether or not the way in which most cross-dressers, at least at some point in our development and our journey, choose to dress, i.e. very excessively stereotypically feminine, with red lips and fake chests and short skirts and high heels. Does that clash with the more sort of progressive or feminist ideologies that are trying to say women aren't just that? By dressing in a way to maximize the most superficial forms of femininity, are we in some way hurting women? And the thing is, there's a certain validity to that, and I certainly understand the frustration that any woman or any person who has gone through a full transition might feel towards someone who is still biologically male and doesn't intend to do a full transition, who is dressing in a way that almost feels like a parody of women. Some people take the same issue with drag queens, but there's at least a performative and a theater aspect to that. Cross-dressers don't have that sort of shield to be able to put up. Here's what I want to say about that. As I said, I understand the frustration. I really do. But the thing is, the reason most cross-dressers, at least for a time, if not, as a core part of how they choose to express themselves, lean towards those very heavily, almost caricature level feminine elements, is because we have to. And what I mean by that is you need to understand that when we're trying to express ourselves and connect with our feminine sides, when we are physically not female and we have, for most of us, lived at least our formative years, if not the majority of our lives, as male, we have an innate connection to our masculinity. Whether we want it or not, we have it. That connection to our femininity, that's a little bit more tenuous, especially in early days. So like, if I'm to look at my own journey and sense of style, way back when I first started going out, or even before then, before I even had the nerve to start going out, I would do full makeup, do a wig, do breast forms, shave my everything, do short skirts, do high heels, do bright red lips, really go nuts with the eyes. I would do as much as I could think of that would really up the femininity factor, because that was the lengths that I had to go to in order to connect with that femininity and feel that I was properly embodying that part of myself. Because I didn't feel like I had the innate connection. I needed the trappings. And I think most of us do. Again, at least for a time. Some of us will always need them. Or some of us just, that is the kind of connection we want to have. For myself, it's something I've largely moved away from. I don't bother with wigs anymore. I mean, yes, granted, I now do my own thing with my hair. But I almost never use, I only ever now use breast forms if I'm performing. I almost never wear skirts. I never wear short skirts, again, unless it's like for a modeling gig or a performance or whatever. At this point, what used to require, the level of connection to my femininity that used to require an hour's makeup, a wig, a big chest, a full tuck of my junk, a short skirt and high heels and shaved legs, I can now achieve that same connection to my femininity through switching out to more feminine glasses frames, maybe a bit of lipstick, change a top, then that's it. I'll wear jeans. I'll wear boots or shoes that I would wear as a man. I don't tuck very much anymore because I don't have to do all that to connect to my femininity the way that I used to. But that's the thing. I couldn't start here. If I had tried to do as little as I need to do now to connect to my femininity way back when I started, I wouldn't have felt that strong connection. I would have felt like I was half-assing it. Because we, as crossdressers, spend so much of our lives at the entirely masculine end of the spectrum, in order to find that, happy medium, we kind of have to pull ourselves over to the far end and then settle back. If we try and land at the settling point, it just doesn't feel like we've gone as far as we can. That's the thing. We have to push ourselves to, or many of us at least, have to push ourselves to an extreme when it comes to femininity so we can learn for ourselves, what does it take? How much of this do I need? And then for myself and for many others that I've known, as you get more comfortable, as you feel more connected to this side of yourself, you don't need as much of it anymore. You don't need a skirt that barely covers your ass. You don't need 4-inch heels. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you do. But you don't have to be ashamed or worry about whether or not you are being a quote-unquote good representation of femininity, because we don't dress like this to be role models. We dress like this because there's something within ourselves that we need to bring out and that we need to feel a connection with, that we need to link with. And whatever we need to do to make that connection, that's self-care. And sometimes what you have to do to take the best possible care of yourself includes setting aside what other people read into it. And which is scary, but I'm hoping anyone watching this who has those thoughts and has those questions, whether you yourself are a dresser or whether you are friends or have a loved one who is, we don't do the extreme of femininity to mock anybody. We do it for us. And if we're doing it, it's probably because we need to. And some of us move on from that. But it's a journey. And I hope I've expressed all that well. And I hope that you have found that helpful or useful. You can subscribe, follow me on Twitter, email me, whatever you like. There's links for all that down below. So thank you all for listening.